Hey there, folks. Blockbuster Beach Bum here. Well, this week, Man of Steel opens in theaters across the country June 14th. I'm going to see it June 13th, and I'll do a review of that film that night, which I think will be pretty cool. Early sneak peek review, kind of. I mean, there's going to be other people who've seen it before me, but I don't mind. Today, I'm going to talk about the 1978 film Superman. So for that occasion, we just get this sorry, oh, there we go. And just unbuttoning my Hawaiian shirt here. And Superman. Okay, I'm ready for this review. 1978 Superman. Basically, this is the birth of a nation of superhero films as we know it. The film structure, the film's plot, is very reminiscent of superhero films for years and years to come. This film is 35 years old now. And I still think it holds up pretty well. I watched this recently, and I'm really surprised how much I enjoyed this movie. The film is basically told in 3 acts. The first portion of the film is Krypton. Everything with Krypton, General Zod, Jor-El, everybody thinking Jor-El is crazy because he believes the planet is going to explode. And the planet explodes, and Kal-El, going to be Superman, is sent to Earth into the, and the Kents find him. And that begins the second part of the story, the adventures in Smallville, where Superman is a teenager and he has to deal with the fact that he's different from everyone else and he shouldn't use his powers for, showing off and being a jerk with his powers, even though he really wants to. And at that point, when he has a very important dialogue with his Earth father, Jonathan Kent, his Earth father dies of a heart attack, and he then goes to this Fortress of Solitude to find out information from Jor-El, his father, and then that's when the third and longest part of the movie begins. The things that happen in Metropolis, Clark Kent's adventures as Superman, Lex Luthor, all these other things happen. Talk about this film's production a little bit. Before Superman, there were superhero films. There was the Batman serial from the 1940s, or I believe it was the 40s. It might have been the 40s. Yeah, it was the 40s. Then you had like the Superman cartoons. You had the Superman series from George Reeves. You have also the Batman movie based off of the campy TV series. And a lot of people like to say this movie's a bit campy, and I will agree with them, except for 1978, this is the closest thing audiences had to something like Batman Begins, where it was a grounded approach for a superhero film. For example, this film got Mario Puzo to work on the story. If you don't know who Mario Puzo is, he wrote The Godfather, the book, and he also co-wrote The Godfather screenplays with Francis Ford Coppola. And if you know anything about those films won Oscars. Those are Oscar-winning Best Picture winners, and they both won Oscars for Best Adapted Screenplay. So they really took this property seriously. They thought, Richard Donner and the other creative consultants on the production, Tom Mankiewicz, they really thought this out. They thought about the Christ analogy with Superman. There was a real care to the story of Superman. They really wanted to get this film done right. Other elements that make the film seem like an A-list film, you had Marlon Brando in the film. Now, I know this was during Marlon Brando's later years, and Brando was getting heavier, and Brando was, Brando, he wanted too much, he was a bit tough to work with, but he was still Marlon Brando. And I know some people like to say, oh, he phones in his performance, but you have to realize Marlon Brando was top billed in this movie. Like, he was billed as the main attraction, even though he doesn't appear in the film as much as Christopher Reeve or Gene Hackman or some of the other characters. That's the other actor, Gene Hackman, who won an Oscar. And he was also in the Francis Ford Coppola film The Conversation, a very, very good film in my opinion. And that really helped put this film, you know, into a category of its own. It was a very interesting film. You also had the music of John Williams, who John Williams did Jaws and Star Wars, would eventually do Indiana Jones and E.T. and other films. And what I like about John Williams' score is that it's magical, it has a sense of adventure to it, and it basically screeches truth, justice, and the American way. Three qualities that basically go with the Superman that most of us know and love today. Christopher Reeve was an unknown before this movie, and he did this as a two-picture deal. He did Superman and Superman 2. And Christopher Reeve, for most people, this I know is a generalization, but for a lot of people, he is Superman Clark Kent. Like, there are very few actors that can say, I am so identified with this character that I'm literally sometimes mistaken and called that character. The only other person I can think of is maybe Kevin Conroy as the animated Batman, Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, and then you have Christopher Reeves as Superman. And an interesting interview with Christopher Reeves before he passed away says that he was like, I let the suit do a lot of the acting, and that seems pretty ridiculous, but when you think about it, he fits it well, and he stands there with his arms crossed like this in certain scenes, and it works. It really does work. The suit really does help make that character. However, let's also look at his character of Clark Kent, the alter ego, and probably his best part of the performance, where this is a character that's much more grounded, and he's clumsy, and he does everything possible to make himself seem like he's not Superman. And he does a lot more of this in Superman 2, but it's just some great scenes. For example, when he and Lois Lane, played by Margot Kidder, who I'll talk about in a minute, are being held at gunpoint, he's just like, Lois, I think you should just give him the purse. And then he catches the bullet, which is so funny, but he faints and everything, and he has to do it over the top, so that way no one suspects that he's Superman. It's really funny. And Margot Kidder is really good as Lois Lane. She's a great female character. She isn't like some other female characters that are out there where they're basically, male characters, except they happen to be female. No, she's a female character who is feminine, but at the same time, she has a more grounded approach to her. She takes charge. She does things. She'll be at the San Andreas fault line, and she'll be the first one there. And that's what helps make that character. And the chemistry with her and Reeves works very well on screen, especially during the flying scene. But the rest of the cast, I love Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor. This character is very different from the Lex Luthor people tend to know, but he's just such a funny character, and he's so cocky, and he's such a jerk that you in some ways you love him, but at the same time you want to see Christopher Reeves foil his plans. One of my favorite scenes with Gene Hackman is basically where he reveals the kryptonite, and Superman just called him a diseased old maniac. And he's just like, I guess when you cast your chips, your banker was a diseased old maniac. And his delivery is perfect, and he knows what type of movie he's in, so he doesn't need to treat this like Shakespeare level. He really makes it a comical villain, but at the same time, he's evil. So, I love Gene Hackman in this movie. The special effects. Now, What's interesting is that the beginning of the film has a very interesting look at Krypton. There's very reflective materials. Everybody has a different crest on their shirt, which is why Superman has the S, which is not really an S. It's basically the symbol for the L family, and it's very much a crystallized city. Very, very interesting look for Krypton. And same thing with the Fortress of Solitude. And I like the film because it's very different in each section. You have Metropolis, just a big, bustling city. Everything's busy. It's basically like New York, but it's very different from the Smallville, which is like the farm. It's very suburban and very rural, beautiful looking. And then you have, of course, Krypton, which is very crystal, very almost futuristic. Especially one of my favorite scenes in the film is the beginning that connects to Superman 2, where you see the Zod and his conspirators in going into the Phantom Zone and being judged. And it's a very simple looking scene, but at the same time it's rather spectacular. They did these special effects so well, and of course the film won an honorary Academy Award for its visual effects, and the tagline for the film was, "You will believe a man can fly." And that is the case with this film. You see Superman flying, and it works perfectly. It may be a little dated because of the green screen, but certainly better than other green screen things I've seen in later years. That's what I really like about this film. They take it seriously. They take the origin of Superman very seriously. They put some philosophical elements, but at the same time, it's a fun film, and you enjoy seeing Superman save the day. Now, the ending of the film. The ending, you see Superman is trying to stop the missiles by Lex Luthor, and Lois Lane is dead. And Superman gets angry, and he runs around the planet, turning time itself backwards. This scene doesn't work for a few reasons. First off, it's ridiculous, but then again, I'm complaining about a movie where a man can fly and has super strength and is invincible. Then the fact that Jor-El tells him he shouldn't interfere with Earth affairs in such a way, and he does, and there's no moral consequence. However, you need to wrap up the film somehow, and you need to create some illusion of stakes. And for me, that is just the main problem with the film, is that ending. However, regardless of how you feel about this as a movie, you have to give this credit because it gave launch to the superhero genre as a serious genre. I mean, after this, you had Superman 2, Superman 3 and 4 were weaker. Some people would argue that Popeye is a superhero, and you had the Popeye movie directed by Robert Altman, but, that was, you take what you will with that film. And then you have the Batman movies from the 80s and 90s, which are mixed. I like the first one, the second one's mixed, third one, in my opinion, is mixed, and the fourth one, Batman and Robin's an abysmal nightmare. But Superman really is the golden standard for a superhero film. I know a lot of people. I was at a dinner once and I was with people who are older than I am, and they're like, that ending is classic, and they don't criticize the ending of the '78 Superman, and they're like, it's a classic, and it really is a classic. It's earned its title as a classic. I mean, Superman, the movie, and those are really my opinions on this. Now, as for Man of Steel, I'm looking forward to this movie. I am so stoked. I've not been this excited for a movie in quite some time. I was not that excited for Dark Knight Rises, not that excited for Amazing Spider-Man, was not that excited for the Avengers. I ended up liking all three, but regardless, I am so excited. I've been waiting for a good Superman movie for a long time. So, I can't wait to see this. I'm probably going to see it again on that Friday because I have other friends that want to see the movie. So, yeah, what are your thoughts on the 78 Superman or superhero films, and what's your favorite superhero film? If you want to know my favorite superhero film, probably X2, X-Men United, but that's for a different day. Today is about Superman. And Superman, I hope this is good, so that way we can potentially get a decent Justice League movie in the future. Don't rush Warner Brothers if you're watching this. I'll see you guys later this week for Sound Film Saturday. Peace.